The Shield is over, but why is Evolution? The Rock possibly returning for another match, and Sting in the class of 2015 WWE Hall of Fame. That and much more on this episode of Rope Break Radio.
What's going on, Rope Breakers? Another episode of Rope Break Radio right here on RopeBreakWrestling.com. Still your host with the most. It's me, AuSSy. It's AuSSy. Thanks for joining me. Got another great show lined up for you guys. Really excited to see some positive energy, some really encouraging comments about the show coming in from you guys. A lot of interest in the past couple of weeks. Really appreciate it. And what you can do for us is if you really like the show and you really want it to keep going, please, word of mouth spreads better than anything on the internet. Tell your friends, share it, like it. Let people know that we're doing this show and you kind of like it, or hell, you like it a lot, and you think they should submit some questions, hear their name get called on our show, and have us answer their questions. And not going to lie to you, those that really get involved here do tend to have a little bit of a better shot in the giveaways. Sometimes I might throw your name in the hat twice, maybe 3 times if I see you really giving a shit about the site and especially the show. Well, anyways, we've got a good show, like I said, lined up for you. We're going to talk about this past Monday night's Raw. We're going to talk about last night's Tuesday night main event. It was a big one if you missed it. We're going to talk about the Shield possibly being done, Evolution definitely being done, The Rock maybe not being done, and Sting maybe getting into the WWE Hall of Fame Class 2015. We'll go ahead and talk about the entire controversy surrounding the Class of 2015 for the WWE Hall of Fame. And then again, I'm going to tell you who I think deserves and should win the Money in the Bank matches. Not giving you official predictions, but I'm just kind of telling you the way I see it right now. Let's go ahead and start off with this past Monday night's Raw. I'm not going to lie to you. As far as giving it a grade goes, if we're talking just straight up entertainment value, I'm definitely giving this show a B+ or an A-. And a lot of people, you might scratch your head and say, wasn't that thrilled with the show. Listen to me for a second. I'm not talking technical or technically speaking. I'm not talking about, the in-ring performances necessarily. I'm talking about entertainment value as a package, as a whole. And to be perfectly honest with you, I really enjoyed the show from the beginning all the way to the end, and that rarely happens for me because I'm like a lot of you guys are. I'm complaining about every little single thing during the entire show. That shouldn't have happened. This shouldn't have happened. This should have happened. And I really didn't do that at all on Monday night. I actually sat put on the couch and watched the entire show, laughed, enjoyed the show. Of course, Cena giving the AA onto the stretcher, a weak one, kind of a weak way to cap off the show. But all in all, I give the show at least a B+. Now, a lot of people were disappointed with the DQs to start off the show, and rightfully so. If you are a real wrestling fan and you're looking for in-ring performances, which, hey, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm looking for that as well. And on a big show, a pay-per-view, if a pay-per-view does not provide the in-ring, what's the word I'm looking for? The in-ring talent or the in-ring performances that we're looking for, then the grade of the pay-per-view is definitely going to go down. But for an episode of Monday Night Raw, I really found the segments and even the DQs and, false finish matches pretty good. So, well done there. It looks like they're getting rid of quite a few of the writers, as well as, the rest of the budget cuts that we saw over the past week, and we will get into that, of course. But before we get into all that, I just want to kind of break down some of my favorite parts of Raw. First, I will start with a not-so-favorite part of mine, actually, ironically enough, is the Usos coming to the aid of Sheamus. Now, it seems to me that they're kind of making the Usos look a little weak, just continuing to pair them up with, top baby faces or top people that they want to be baby faces, at least in Cena and Sheamus. And to be perfectly honest with you, I've said it to Matt before on our site, I'm not really sure I think it's good booking for the Usos because I think a lot of people, myself included, like the Usos, but we don't necessarily like Cena or Sheamus, so it might make you more apt to root against the Usos or root, whatever way, the opposite way. I can't say, I've never really said anything nice about Sheamus on the show, and people that know me by now know that. I do not like Sheamus. I will give him credit where credit's due, though. He has put on some pretty solid matches of late. I'm just not sure if I enjoy the Usos being paired up with Sheamus. So we'll see where they go with this. I'm honestly thinking after Money in the Bank, we're going to see a Sheamus versus Bray Wyatt feud, and I think that the Usos continue to feud with the Wyatt family unless we see the Ascension get called up, because honestly, I really don't see any other tag teams, no pun intended, but ascending to their level. Unless you're going to argue that Goldust and maybe Stardust, again, we will get into that later, unless you're going to argue them as a top tier team. I think Rybaxel's kind of overrun its course, and it's time to bring up the Ascension. But moving on to the Vicky Guerrero segments alongside Roman Reigns, well done. This is the type of stuff I'm looking for on Raw more often. I think sometimes we see shows that are too much match oriented, too many matches. It's kind of just match after match after match with no character development, no storyline development. In your Good Days, your Attitude Era, and your Ruthless Aggression, and even the beginning of the PG era, and throughout the course, here and there, kind of spotty, we've seen very good storyline development, and that's what leads to really interesting feuds and stuff like that. What we're not seeing right now is the character development. We saw some really good backstage segments with Vicky Guerrero and Roman Reigns. That's a way to build Roman Reigns as a face. Sneaking by the Authority, tricking Vicky Guerrero. That is how you get people behind the guy, rather than just coming out and Superman punching people in the face. Give him some character. Let him build and get, a bigger following with the audience. It's something that I wish they would do with other superstars, especially the Divas champion right now, Paige, who I think is really faltering and getting really, really stale as of now, just because it has nothing to do with her. It's not her fault at all. She's performed extraordinary in the ring. She's done really well. Only issue is we don't know anything about Paige. We've got no clue about her. All we know is she comes out and she holds the title up, she screams, and she wins matches. That's it. And it's not the same thing that we saw in the day of the Diva, or the women's champion is what I really should say, with people like Lita and Trish Stratus and Beth Phoenix and, these ladies that we got a background on and learned more about outside of the ring that really made us follow them. Especially if you think back to like Lita, her run with the Hardys, which then evolved into her run with Edge. When she was with Edge, she had the greatest character development, I think, of any diva possibly of all time. Then you had a diva or a women's champion like Beth Phoenix, who we got a lot of character development on. Her time with Santino, just calling her the Glamazon and really showcasing her power. We got to know her and be able to get behind a diva or a women's champion like that. We're not getting that with Paige. All we know about Paige is she was on NXT. She comes up. She's a great technical wrestler, but she has zero character development right now. And if they continue with that, people are going to continue to get bored of her, and it's not her fault. So when we hear things like Vince McMahon isn't sold on Paige, it's nobody's fault but his own. Get the writers going, get creative going, and give her some character development. There is no reason in a 3-hour show we can't give a 10-minute, match and segment to Paige. I'm sick of these 3-4 minute matches and then the divas disappear off the show. But to end that rant a little bit, moving on to something I really did like about the show was the Battle Royale. Now, I'm not just saying I liked the Battle Royale. There was something very specific that I enjoyed about the Battle Royale. Of course, the second Roman Reigns pulled a fast one on the Authority, we knew he was going to win. If you're, a smark or whatever, you probably could have, put together in your head, oh, Roman Reigns is going to win this, which was cool to begin with because Reigns wasn't rumored to be in the ladder match. The initial rumors had Kane and Cena becoming the final two to enter that ladder match. And I was pleasantly surprised to see Reigns, like we said, pull a fast one, and then he's in the match. And I liked the development, the character development, as I'll keep noting here with Roman Reigns backstage with Vicky Guerrero. But the real thing that I loved about the Battle Royale, get this, is Alexander Rusev's performance. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, Rusev lost. That's his first, technically his first loss, really. But the positive here is it wasn't a match with some jobber. It wasn't with Heath Slater, Zack Ryder, now Big E Langston. What seems like he's really faltering. It was with Roman Reigns. He went one-on-one with Reigns, and Reigns sold Rusev as a legitimate contender. Those two had a huge pop when it came down to those two. Everybody was interested. Everybody wanted to see what was going to happen. Even though we knew that Reigns was going to be the likely winner, we were still interested to see what was going to happen with the clash of these two titans. And I really enjoyed the fact that Reigns went over on Rusev. It really builds Reigns that much more as, hey, he beat Rusev. Nobody can beat Rusev. And then it also builds Rusev because you say, he can contend with a guy like Reigns. He's not just a job squasher. You want to get on the job squad, hit up Al Snow. He's got a little more room on the job squad, I think, after the cuts were made to the roster. But then moving on to a couple little more tidbits about Raw. I just wanted to note that it looks like we're going to see a possible feud between Dean Ambrose and Kane after Money in the Bank. Looks like I think I might even predict both of those two to be in the second Money in the Bank ladder match, just so they can continue to build a feud between those two, because it looks like they kind of want to go a separate way with Seth Rollins, although they're keeping Rollins and Ambrose, kind of in a feud. If they choose to give Rollins the briefcase, it would be smart to pin Ambrose against a guy like Kane, and that could really legitimize Ambrose, and I would be excited to see something like that. I think Kane does still have a little bit left in the tank, not much, but working with a young guy like Ambrose could really benefit both guys there. Now, as far as Cena goes, the big question is what's in the cards for him after the Money in the Bank match. A lot of people are nervous Cena could pull off this win, take the title, become a transitional champion again, and I don't really see that happening, to be perfectly honest with you. I think we might see Cena building a feud with another guy, maybe by the name of Cesaro. It's possible. Very possible. It's noted that Cena really likes Cesaro, and I think Cena and Cesaro would make a great feud. Question is, what do they want to do with the strap? Do they put the strap on Cesaro and then have him feud with Cena, or do we see the strap go on Cesaro and have him feud with Daniel Bryan when he comes back, or what? Not sure what the deal will be with that. All I know is I really, I'm not Miss Cleo here, but I'm seeing a future feud between Cesaro and Cena in the cards. So moving on from there, let's go ahead and talk about Main Event, which happened Tuesday night, which was last night. If you're listening to this in the East Coast, it's still not Thursday yet. Main Event, man. What a great episode. I think they should really keep building this show and giving this show meaningful segments and matches. I think that would do good things for the WWE Network. And I also think it does good things for the brand altogether, just because you've got more people tuning into the show. It's kind of a third avenue, a third craving to be filled for the WWE universe. And I personally like tuning in for that quick hour pop, couple good matches, good segment. It's kind of, it's like Sunday Night Heat was back in the day. And I'm really enjoying it thus far, certainly in the past couple weeks. Now, I was elated to hear them announce formally the second ladder match for Money in the Bank, and Rollins, of course, naming himself the first entrant. I really like the whole deal where Orton gets a free pass into the match and Rollins gets a free pass into the briefcase match. I enjoyed that. And I think we're going to see, there was a couple of people on the Facebook page that were really worried about, who else would be in this second match. I think it's perfect, to be honest with you, because you got a guy like Dean Ambrose, who can be in the match. You've got Kane, like I said. I know Kane doesn't really make sense in a Money in the Bank ladder match, but he has done it before. And building him with Ambrose, that could be a positive of putting him in the match. Then you got Bad News Barrett, just a couple other guys, Bo Dallas, RVD could be in the match. You could throw, a couple really good superstars in that match, Ziggler, and I think that one could outshine the actual title match if that's possible. Could happen. Right now, all I want to say is keep it up with Main Event. They're doing a great job. I hope to be able to keep sitting through that on a Tuesday night, because you're kind of let down by the fact that Raw is over on Monday night. It's like, oh man, I don't got anything to do really until Friday as far as WWE goes, and then they come up with Main Event, and it's really good. And let me just speak on, as far as WWE Network goes, their lineup is really impressive. Now that Legends House is over, I'm looking forward to the Monday Night Wars show that they've got lined up. But really, Monday nights, we get a new Beyond the Ring that usually plays during Raw. And those are basically the documentary DVDs. The last one being the history of the AWA, which is kind of a snorer. But, they've really got some good stuff on there. Definitely alone within itself worth $10, because you'd go out and buy these DVDs for more than $10 to begin with. Now you have full access to any of them at any time as they keep releasing them. Now, not only do we get Beyond the Ring, but we also get, the pre-show and backstage pass. Then you move on to Tuesday. Tuesday's my favorite day of the week on the network, because you get Main Event. Then you get WrestleMania Rewind, which is, possibly my favorite show, or my favorite original on the WWE Network, which this past week, or last night rather, we got to see Kurt Angle versus Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania 20 for the WWE Undisputed Championship. Great to relive that match and kind of hear some backstories about Eddie and Angle. I think we had Bruno Sammartino on there, really giving a lot of respect to both guys. That's big. That's stuff you just really don't get out of the regular product, or even, buying some of the DVDs. Now, in addition to those two shows on Tuesday, we also get the WWE Countdown, which I'm a big fan of, even though half the time they fuck it up. Honestly, they do a terrible job with the countdown sometimes, and they say it's fan voted. I don't believe it for a second. Catch this. I think it was the first episode they did was the best catchphrases of all time. And The Rock, if you smell what The Rock is cooking, was not number one. So immediately off the rip, I'm thinking this show has been delegitimized. I don't know if it's the fans voting and more people voting for Austin or whatever it was. Can't even remember who came in first there, but I think it might have been what? I enjoy the little chant, but it's not really a catchphrase. Catchphrase to me, first thing that comes to mind, hashtag if you smell what The Rock is cooking. No doubt. Greatest of all time as far as catchphrases go. Now, last night we had the most dangerous divas, and I actually agreed for once with the countdown. The final four, we got Stephanie McMahon at number 4, Beth Phoenix at number 3, Trish at number 2, and my favorite diva or women's champion, women's wrestler, whatever of all time, Lita, number 1. I think she definitely was probably the most dangerous, maybe aside from Stephanie. I think Stephanie probably could have been up a little higher there. And sorry to ruin the outcome for you guys. I had somebody a little pissed off last night saying, spoiler alert. Not really a spoiler to me if it played. If it's on the network and you can watch it whenever you want, it's your own fault if you haven't checked it out. So it's not really a spoiler for me. It's no different than us doing live coverage for, either of the shows, Raw, SmackDown, pay-per-views, whatever, Main Event, NXT, whatever it may be. So anyways, that's Tuesday. Then I think Wednesday we get Best of Raw, Best of SmackDown, if I'm correct. And that's basically a vintage episode of each show, which is always fun to watch. I don't care who you are. We've seen a lot of Attitude Era Raw and Ruthless Aggression Era SmackDown so far, and that stuff really gets me pumped up. It's just cool to relive. Like, I think it was last week we saw the first ever draft lottery on Raw, when John Cena gets drafted to Raw when he's still cool. I really liked that episode. And then, of course, you got Lita coming out, half topless. That kind of sets it off as well. Now, where the hell am I? Kind of like, scatterbrain out here. We're talking about the WWE Network and the lineup that they provide. On Thursdays, obviously, we get NXT, and we've been getting Legends House, so I expect Monday Night Wars to slide into that position there. Although this week we're seeing the Legends House reunion, which looks really good. Can't miss that. And honestly, I really cannot argue, and I really can't say enough about the WWE Network, what is provided for $9.99. I know a lot of people out there don't pay for it. They just go on and they stream it, the same way they did pay-per-views before. I kind of think that's kind of the scum way out. I know a lot of people can't afford $10 a month, but if you can afford it, there's no reason why you shouldn't be paying it, because you have full access to the network at all times. So you can go back and watch whatever you want, whenever you want. That's not something that you can do with the feed. You're kind of just at their terms, whatever's playing on there. So go out and go get the network. Honestly, it's so worth the $9.99, and punch us in there and let them know that we sent you. And they give us discounts on the WWE shop, which we will in turn buy more giveaways and help you guys out even more, because all we do is give back and do giveaways. So moving on from the shows, looks like as far as SmackDown goes this week, we're going to see the big debut of Seth Rollins' new gear. And if you haven't seen the photo of his new ring gear, it is up on ropebreakwrestling.com. Why are you waiting? Open another tab. Go check it out. Want to know what you guys think about it? Because, I'm not 100% sold. It's kind of like Batman-ish, if you ask me. A little too cartoony. I think they do away with the shirt and maybe keep the pants, and they'll be fine. I know that it looks like he was wrestling without the shirt. Hopefully that's the way they stay. And looks like they're kind of setting in stone Rollins' theme and possibly, his ring gear if all goes well here. But cool little thing fun fact, I guess, to let you guys know is, as far as ring music goes, there is still a developmental stage. They're kind of feeling things out with Rollins and Ambrose and, Reigns. Cool little tidbit, not sure if everybody knows, is before CM Punk was in the WWE, his Killswitch Engage theme, This Fire Burns, was actually tested out by Randy Orton on an episode of SmackDown. Before Voices, before he got Voices, he had This Fire Burns. I think it was for only one episode of SmackDown, and they quickly did away with that because it just didn't fit him. So I'm interested to know what you guys think about Rollins and Ambrose's theme songs. If you think they fit them, if you think CFOs is doing a good job, or you kind of really want to go back to the more traditional style themes. We caught, or not caught, but we kind of dipped into that whole topic of theme music on last week's episode, which is up on our YouTube page. So if you want to listen and kind of get our views on the theme music and who CFOs is and what's happening with Jim Johnson, that's on episode 8 of Rope Break Radio. We covered that on the back half of the show. Moving forward here, we're going to talk about a couple different oddball subjects, just because a lot of things have been happening in the WWE this past week. Before we get into your questions, I kind of want to cover the recent cuts. So if you were hiding under Patrick Starr's rock, or, I'm not sure exactly where you might have been the past week to not actually hear about the cuts, we saw a plethora of them last week, and a lot of people disappointed. I can't say I really am disappointed, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't think anybody there, is irreplaceable, not to drop a Beyonce reference in there, but, I think they're going to be okay. Kurt Hawkins, Jinder Mahal, Drew McIntyre, the formerly known as the Chosen One. I think we got Teddy Long was also exit stage left. And let me see who else we can pull up here. Oksana was cut. Just and it was Black Thursday. A lot of people, you might not be familiar, I guess you should say. You're not familiar with Black Thursday. It's kind of something that happens every couple years. Every couple years we see a Thursday evening where we've got 10, 11 people cut, and I can date back to, I think it was 2010. was the last time we really saw a big plethora of cuts there. I think we lost Shelton Benjamin in that one. This time we lose JTG, Evan Bourne, a good amount of guys, good workers for sure. Just Brodus Clay, guys that creative didn't really have anything for it. And there's really no point of paying these people if they're just going to be, sitting on the sidelines. I know it's sad and they have families and stuff, but it's time for them to move on just as well it is for WWE. And a lot of people are coming off right off the cuff and saying, hey, this is because the network hasn't done that good. This is because of the stock money being lost. I disagree. I don't buy that. I think they trim the fat every couple of years, and this was just another instance of that. Every business is going to try and save money here and there every couple of years, and that's all that WWE was doing there. Now, there's reports that they are in the process of cutting NXT's budget, so we could be seeing some firings there. That would be interesting to see, to be perfectly honest with you, because a lot of NXT talent, a lot of people, big time fans, what happens? What happens with the NXT talent? Because there's some guys that you just cannot get rid of. As far as cuts go, I'm interested to know who you guys think was, like the biggest cut, most surprising. And don't say Teddy Long, because he's been, kind of rumored to be exiting stage left for some time now. To me, it was probably Brodus Clay, just because he was just fighting for the NXT title a couple weeks ago. Then he's released. So good shoot interview with him up online. You can check out. I will try to get the link and throw it up on the website for you guys. Him talking, he was clearly disappointed, as anybody would be, leaving their dream promotion, the WWE, dreaming to be a wrestler their whole life. It's got to sting like a bee, but happens to the best of them, not really, but the worst of them for sure. Now, moving on from the cuts, I am interested to talk about the split of the Shield here, because it looks like once and for all we are seeing the Shield split up for good, and they're doing it quietly. If you haven't read the article up on RopeBreakWrestling.com right now, Alec Kozubsky, staff writer, lead writer, co-owner, whatever you want to call a jabroni, he's always doing work. He's always getting the news first for you guys, and he's got a little piece up there about the Shield kind of having a slow exit. And we saw the beginning of that on this past Monday night's Raw. We saw Reigns and Ambrose kind of distance themselves from each other. Ambrose going with a new style theme, new attire. Reigns kind of sticking more towards the Shield stuff, which I think is a good move. My big question is, a lot of people are holding out hope that they're not really splitting up the Shield. It's more like an infiltration. I think you got to let those fantasies go. It's kind of like CM Punk returning, the next 5 times in Chicago. It might not happen. Obviously, down the road, there's always going to be an option for the stable to return, and they probably will down the road once they all become successfully established singles guys. But I think for now, it's best for them to split up. Now, the big question is, why is Evolution kind of dissolving? Because it doesn't really make any sense to me, the fact that they evolved, they adapted, they made the biggest adaptation that they possibly could have done. They killed off the Shield. They're stronger than ever. Rollins joins the team, and then they're kind of just going to dissolve Evolution, kill the theme music, fail to bring those 3 guys out together, have them seen together. And I think they dropped the ball there. I think they lost a chance to really legitimize Evolution 2.0 and really legitimize Rollins as a heel, because I think the thing that Evolution 2.0 was missing here, and of course I'm referring to this version of Evolution when I say 2.0, they had Batista, Orton, and Triple H. So essentially they had the past with Triple H and the present with Batista and Orton, if you want to argue it that way in terms of, WWE title contention. Now, they didn't have what Evolution 1.0 had, the past, the present, and the future. You had Ric Flair, the past, the present in Triple H, and the future as Orton and Batista. I think they really had a shot to go past Triple H, present Orton, future Rollins. I think they really could have done good work there. And it doesn't mean that they have to have 3-on-3 battles. They could have done it like the old Evolution did and, break them up into singles. I think that would have given them more time to establish a theme song for Seth Rollins, because I'm not really a huge fan of his current theme song. And they could have worked out a tire. He could have easily, come out in a, suit or whatever and fight, just the same way that those Evolution guys did back in the day. And I would have bought it. I think it would have made good money. Like I said, it would have legitimized both Evolution 2.0 and Rollins as a heel. And I got more in depth with that on an article that I wrote last night on RopeBreakWrestling.com. So if you want to see more of what I had to say about that, you can go ahead and check out that article. It's up on the homepage. Now, I'm interested to know what you guys think about Ambrose's new attire and his new theme, because they both debuted this week. Looks like he's going with a, wife beater, leather jacket, and jeans, and hard rock theme song. I liked it, to be honest with you. I liked it better than I liked Rollins' attire and theme so far. And like I said, I'm interested to know what you guys think. So comment below, please, or tweet us at Rope Break Wrestling. Now, a couple other things I want to address before we get into your questions and before we talk a little bit about Money in the Bank is The Rock possibly returning. Now, I'm not saying the guy's about to come here at Money in the Bank or he's about to show up at Battleground or whatever. What I am saying is The Rock did leave the door open in a recent interview of him coming back for another WrestleMania match. He says the payoff and the fight would have to be equal to or more than versus John Cena. I'm not sure that that's possible. Cena versus Rock was a huge draw. It was a main event. I think if you saw Rock versus Reigns, which I think a lot of people are banking on, that would be the match he would come back for. I don't think it makes as much money as Rock versus Cena. Definitely a better match to watch, but I don't think it makes the same amount of money. So we'll have to see with that. Would I like to see The Rock back in the ring? Yes, of course I would. I think it would make sense, especially if he's going to go into the Hall of Fame this next year, which it looks like he is. And interested to hear what you guys have to think about it. So tweet us and comment below, of course. Now, last thing before we take a quick break and get into the questions is the Hall of Fame class of 2015. A lot of people, a lot of rumors buzzing. We've heard a lot of names so far. We've heard Kevin Nash. We've heard Sting. We've heard The Rock. We've heard Macho Man. We've heard Mickey James, Victoria. You name it. We've heard a bunch of different possibilities. NWO. We've heard it all. Question is who is and who deserves to get in 2015. A lot of people are saying, The Rock is going to be the headliner. So they can't have Sting and they can't have Macho Man there. That I totally disagree with right off the rip. I think all three of those sons of bitches could go in the Hall of Fame the same time, same year, just because of, a couple simple facts. One being Macho Man is, no longer with us. He's deceased. So it would be similar to, Paul Bearer, where you'd have somebody else speaking on his behalf. It's not like you're going to have the Macho Man come out and go, oh yeah, it's Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, you don't know anything about the Macho Man. Oh yeah. He's not going to snap into a Slim Jim. He's not even going to be there. So there's no way he headlines the show because they're looking for somebody to draw interest to the show. We want to see so-and-so make a speech. We want to see, this year, the Ultimate Warrior, what's going to say? I think the same could be said about The Rock. One of the greatest promo cutters of all time. What's he going to say? What's he going to do? And I think that's the reason why The Rock will headline. And then getting into Sting, sure. Sting does, have the name and the box office bang to headline a class himself, but he never wrestled for WWE. And, if you're a real purist, you might say, oh, wait a minute. He technically wrestled for WWE in the last episode of WCW. And that's because WWE owned WCW for their last episode. I'm not necessarily sure I would count that. As far as I go, if it's the WWE Hall of Fame, there's no way I'm letting a WCW guy headline a class. Now, personally, I would like to see Sting wait until he can go in with The Undertaker. I would like to see those two guys maybe duke it out at WrestleMania 31 and then battle at go into the Hall of Fame together the following year, 2016 class. But a lot of talk has been, Sting coming back, maybe 1 or 2 matches, some merchandise, a DVD, and a Hall of Fame bid. That's kind of like, the Legends package that they've done. Hey, Batista, come back. We'll give you some merchandise. We'll throw you a DVD, a title shot. What else you want? Hall of Fame 2018. All right, you got it. Not sure, what they're going to do with Sting, but I don't think he should headline an event by himself. I wouldn't mind seeing this class here. This is the class that I think should be inducted to 2015 Hall of Fame. And, I don't really remember exactly the amount that they do. I want to say it's like 6 or 7 guys, right? So either way, I think I wouldn't mind seeing The Rock, Macho Man, Kevin Nash, Victoria, who I think deserves it over or more so than Mickey James, who was rumored before. And then maybe a guy, I know this is going to sound terrible, but maybe a guy like Michael Cole. I know that a lot of people don't like Michael Cole, give him a lot of shit, but he's been calling matches, just as long for the WWE as JR had by the time he got his Hall of Fame ring, or King, you know what I mean? So I think it's due for him. He's done a lot of good work for the company. If not, maybe we see Michael P.S. Hayes round out that class or something like that. Somebody that's been working for WWE for a long time. So that's that. It's the first half of the show. When we come back from this quick break, we are going to cover your questions, and I'm going to tell you what I think about the Money in the Bank matches and who should win them and what they should do with those guys going forward. So keep it locked. I'm AuSSy. This is Rope Break Radio, episode 9. Almost in double digits. Keep it locked. We'll be right back.
This episode of Rope Break Radio is brought to you in part by RopeBreakWrestling.com's ring sale. That's right, our first ever annual ring sale that includes our own personal collections. We're talking WWE DVDs, WWE action figures, signed photos, books, and much more. It's all for sale to the highest bidder this Saturday, June 21st. Through June 28th. 1 week long, we're giving away our stuff to the highest bidders. Like I said, DVDs, action figures, signed photos, books, and much more. It's only on RopeBreakWrestling.com, and it's only Rope Break Radio's 1 week ring sale.
All right, we're back just like that, and you're saying to yourself, wow, one commercial, the entire show, and it's kick-ass. Who the hell is that person behind that voice? That's what I want to know. Whoever it is, they're doing a kick-ass job, and they're making the show that much better. And one commercial really makes this enjoyable. We don't have to go through any of that podcast one crap. What I will tell you is the news is true. We will be giving away some of our own personal collections to the highest bidders. Going to be giving away some of my WWE action figure collection, new in package, out of package, giving away some DVDs, giving away some books, some photos, and like I said, to the highest bidders. Basically what we're doing, we're trying to make some money to keep the giveaways going. So the more you buy, the more we will be able to give away. And just a kind of a lineup of some of the stuff that we're going to have for sale on our ring sale, which starts this Saturday and runs through next Saturday. That's June 21st to June 28th, 2014, if you're listening to this in the future. A couple of things we're going to be giving away is, like I said, some WWE Elite action figures. We will be giving away some CM Punk figures, some Brock Lesnar figures. We will be giving away our, maybe, if the bid is high enough, I will part with my Paul Heyman Build-A-Figure. So any action figure guys that are out there looking for action figures, we're going to have them aplenty. Some good stuff. Like I said, plenty of DVDs. I'm giving away all of my WWE home videos to the highest bidders, and I've got quite a few great legendary pay-per-views along the way. Might even take some trades. If the trade is good enough and, really digging it, might take the trade. So that, again, is the Rope Break Wrestling ring sale. We'll have some more info up on the Facebook page and up on RopeBreakWrestling.com later on this week. Again, it starts Saturday the 21st and runs through Saturday the 28th of June. Now, it's that time of the show. Everybody's getting all sorts of shitty and excited because we're about to answer... I'm about to answer your questions, and boy, do we've got a slew of them this week, thanks in large part to Westlin Coleman. Westlin, what up, man? Really appreciate you guys coming through and always bringing tons of questions, and good questions at that. It'd be one thing if I'd have, a guy commenting a bunch of garbage, a bunch of garbage questions, but we've got some really good questions slated out for today's show, and a good portion of them come from Westlin Coleman, who in the coming weeks has become, or in the past few weeks has become, looks like what could be the biggest fan of Rope Break Radio. If you don't agree with that, let us know. Tell us, hey, I'm the biggest fan of Rope Break Radio. Of course, the way you can do that is by commenting, liking, sharing, subscribing, and tweeting us at Rope Break Wrestling. If you don't follow us on Twitter at Rope Break Wrestling, you're missing out on half of the good, witty shit that we put out there in the interwebs. We've interacted with WWE superstars on multiple occasions, so go ahead, follow us, Rope Break Wrestling. The spelling is right there on the screen for you. So if you are that lazy that you can't get over to Twitter, well, you're definitely a wrestling fan. I can confirm that. So getting into the questions, we'll start with one from Westlin Coleman. One that I prefer and think might be the best question we've got on this week's show is, what kind of gimmick do you think wrestlers in today's WWE need in order to be over with the crowd? And then he wants me to name some superstars that would be very successful in WWE if they had a different gimmick, and what gimmick would it be? Now, this is a good question because we've seen a lot of gimmicky gimmicks in the recent months, and a good example of that is Stardust, Cody Rhodes' new gimmick. Who knows if that's going to stick or stay long, or if they're kind of just playing around, which I kind of deep down hope inside that's what they're doing, but it doesn't look like that's what they're doing. So as far as gimmicks, it's really hard to say what kind of gimmick do I think wrestlers in today's WWE need. I really prefer the gimmicks that are more realistic, like real people, like you and I. Obviously, relatable is what we're shooting for here. Relatable. People can get behind somebody that they think, hey, like Daniel Bryan. That's one of the reasons a lot of people got behind Daniel Bryan, is because, hey, this guy's just like me. My boss doesn't appreciate the hard work I put in, and you know what? Fuck him. So I think that's why a lot of people get behind Daniel Bryan. It's why a lot of people get behind Dolph Ziggler. And those gimmicks are just relatable. It's the best gimmicks, and I've always said this, are the wrestler's personality times 100. So The Rock comes to mind, Stone Cold Steve Austin comes to mind, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, those guys who were just themselves essentially turned way up. Those are the best gimmicks in my eyes. Once you get into Adam Rose's, Fandangos, Stardust, it's really, definitely bound for the mid card. That's the thing, is main eventers need that edgy, relatable gimmick in order to become main eventers. You look right now at a guy like Big E Langston, who is kind of just floating out there. He's not really being himself. Like, we see his Instagram videos and they're the shit. They're hilarious. And you wish that he would go and do stuff like that out there in the ring, and maybe they would give him some character development. But they don't. And so we see, kind of just a boring, unrelatable character. I think in today's WWE, to become a main eventer, you either need to be a hero, somebody that somebody can really, really look up to, or just relatable to the everyday, ordinary guy. CM Punk, Stone Cold Steve Austin, so on, so ever. Westlin, great question. So that, hopefully I kind of answered your question the way you're looking for me to answer it there. Like I said, relatable and heroic. Doing the shit that we want to do, but we can't do. Those are the best gimmicks. So, Robert Lucas has the next question. Robert, how you doing, bud? He asks, are more locker room cuts coming? And we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. I don't think any main roster cuts are coming, at least in the near future. I think we are destined to see some NXT cuts, just trimming of the fat. I don't think we're going to lose, main, up and coming talents, like the Ascension or Sami Zayn or Tyler Breeze or, any of those guys, but you might be trimming some of the fat at the bottom of NXT. And then again, they could just be cutting production costs. But as of right now, I don't see any locker room cuts coming in the near future. Next question comes from Brandon Manuel. He says, last week I asked about Bray Wyatt being in the title equation. Now that he is, along with Cena, that he just had a rivalry with, do you think those two are put in this match to really have this championship opportunity or to restart their feud? And I think this is another great question coming in from Brandon Manuel, who has been a regular on the show lately. Thanks again, Brandon. He asks a pretty intriguing question because I think a lot of people were kind of getting sick of the Cena-Wyatt feud at the end there, and I don't think anybody wants to see any more of it. Not that it wasn't great, because it was. And Brandon, I don't think we're going to see a rehashing of that rivalry. Like I said earlier in the show, I think what they're going to be building for is a Bray Wyatt versus Sheamus feud, and hopefully that ends up with Bray Wyatt taking the United States Championship. Next question comes from a first-timer, a new guy, Derek Silkett. Derek, let me know if I'm saying your last name right, bud. He asks, if they wanted to make Rusev look like a so-called super athlete, why are they making him fight some of the weakest guys and only have one viable challenger in Big E? I agree here, Derek. Thing is, the best part about it is they did have a viable challenger there in the Battle Royale with him and Roman Reigns going at it, and I think that did big things for Rusev, like I mentioned again earlier in the show. Now, as far as challengers go forward, I really hope it just doesn't turn out to be another one of those broken foreign gimmicks that we've seen, Santino Marella, guys like that, where they start off hot, with titles, they look dominant, they look fierce, and then they end up like the Great Khali. I hope it doesn't turn out to be that way, because I think Rusev actually has the in-ring ability and the skills, even on the mic now, when he's screaming out that Russian gibberish or Bulgarian gibberish, whatever language it is. I think, he could be a potential big-time heel going forward, Iron Sheik style. Question is, do they give him the right character development? And do they give him the right people to win against? So I think right now, usually what they do is they build guys up against people that can afford to lose. So you don't want to have a guy like Rusev come in and beat Cesaro right off the rip, just because that would totally delegitimize Cesaro if this new guy that hasn't even won a match comes in and whips his ass. So Rusev has done his work with the jobbers, and I think based on past Monday Night's Raw, you can really look forward to him kind of climbing the ladder in as far as the talents that he will be battling with. So, good question there, Derek, and please stay with us. Ask more questions next week. Now, next question comes from Brian Cespedes. He asks, what do you think of Ambrose's new look and theme? Personally, it fits him very well in my opinion, but what comments from you? Again, kind of touched on it a little earlier in the show, but I like it, and I like it better than Seth Rollins. I think they should stick with the theme for Ambrose, and I really like the jeans and wife beater, but it looks like they may eventually have to go onto some type of ring gear for him, unless he's going to go Shawn Michaels 2002 and just wrestle in that stuff no matter what, which I would not be against, but it probably wouldn't be the most comfortable. Next question comes from Negro Paulino. He asks, would it be a good fit if CM Punk came back to join the Shield? Negro, I hate to cut you short, buddy, but no. I don't think CM Punk is coming back for quite a while. I think he'll be back for WrestleMania 31. I just don't see him in the near future. And at that point, even like we're seeing now, the Shield has kind of, become no more. And at this point, it's kind of a dead pig, no need to beat it anymore. And I don't think CM Punk will come back in the near future, especially not in time to revive the Shield. More questions from Westlin Coleman. He asks, when do you think Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns will debut their new ring gear? They say the Shield is over, but they are still looking as if the Shield is still together. I mean, we saw Ambrose this Monday sporting a new look. I think Rollins and Reigns should do the same. Mainly Rollins because Reigns looked badass in the ring gear he has now. Now, I agree with you again, Westlin. He touches on the fact that Reigns is still wearing the Shield gear, and I think he's going to stay wearing the Shield gear for quite some time, and I think that fits him. Looks like they're going to keep that theme song with him as well. As far as Rollins goes, like we have up on the site, he will be debuting his new ring gear this Friday night on SmackDown, so definitely look into that. Now, looks like we've got so many questions here from Westland. We're going to have to kind of mix in some other questions here. We got another one from Brian Cespedes. He asks, who do you think will be in the Money in the Bank ladder match for the contract, and who do you feel will win it as opposed to who will most likely win it? So I think what you're going for there, Brian, is who do I think should win it as opposed to who will most likely win it, and that we're going to cover right after the questions portion of the show here. So stay tuned for that, pal. Going on to another question from Westlin Coleman. He asks, with Reigns in the title picture, do you think he can win it all, and that we may be seeing him and Triple H fight for the title at SummerSlam? Not necessarily. I think there's no reason why he shouldn't be champion. I'm just not sure if this is what they're trying to roll with. I could definitely see Reigns versus Triple H for the title at SummerSlam. I don't think that's the right move, but I could see it happening. Another question he asks is, what do you think the reason that Dean and Ambrose didn't come out to the ring together? Instead, they came out separately with their own theme songs. And why did Reigns didn't come out to help Dean with Randy and Seth? I think, again, they're trying to break these guys up slowly but surely and, give them their own singles pushes. And I think that's probably what's right for the Shield at this time. If it's right, let it go and it will fly back again one day and we will have the Shield again. He asks, why do you think Triple H gave most guys a qualifying match but didn't give Seth Rollins one? It's the same reason he didn't give Randy Orton one, because he's in with the authority, and that works for me. So giving those guys just an in, you don't have to bury any other talent or have any other talent be hurt with a loss, and you still get those guys in, and even more so over as heels, because it's like, hey, you don't deserve it. You didn't win a match to get in. So let's see if we can pick maybe one more question here from Westlin Coleman. He asks, the last one we'll cover here is, would you like to see a My Career mode for WWE 2K15? How awesome would that be for WWE fans to actually feel as if they're living the life of a WWE superstar or diva? I think it'd be a great idea. I think, can't remember if it was SmackDown versus Raw, but sometime way back in the day, PlayStation 2, I'm talking here, they let you create like your own storylines and shit. I'm pretty sure it was SmackDown versus Raw, maybe 2008 or 2007. I'm thinking the one with Undertaker, Lashley, and Cena. I think were the three guys on the cover there. And that match kicked ass. I just remember some match with Carlito. I was using, not a match, but a career mode with Carlito, where you were backstage and people would cut promos on you, and then it would give you the option to choose what to say back to them, and that would, change the course of what happens with your character from there on out. I think My Career mode would kick ass. I think I thought I saw somebody talking about a WCW mode. That would kick ass. I think they should have a WWE, WCW, NXT game where you get all three of those rosters in there. There's no reason why they can't put a bunch of guys in there. Instead, they'll probably end up being downloadable content that you have to pay extra money for, and at $60 a pop. Why do I need to pay extra money for downloadable content? No thanks. F off, jabronis. One more question we'll cover is Brian Cespedes' last question. He asks, now that there are many possibilities that can happen at Money in the Bank, which of these two would most likely occur in your opinion? Cesaro winning the big one and Lesnar being a surprise entrant in the contract match, setting up a feud between those two, or Reigns winning the big one for Seth Rollins to cash in, become the new champ, set up a SummerSlam feud and match for them. Let's see. I think that would be really interesting. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it would be really interesting if we saw the title match is obviously going to happen after the contract match. So it's possible we see a match for the title and then immediately the briefcase be cashed in. That would be the smart way of doing it, because obviously after being in a match with however many guys in a ladder match, they're barely going to win and they're going to be tuckered out or tired out. So it would make sense for somebody to cash in. We'll kind of use this as a transition to get into our Money in the Bank. We've got to wrap it up. We're running out of time here. But as far as our Money in the Bank or what I think should happen, there's a couple different scenarios that I see going forward. I think they could have Cesaro win the Money in the Bank title match, and then have Daniel Bryan be a surprise entrant or whatever, have him come back whenever and battle Cesaro maybe at SummerSlam for the title, and then maybe we see the return of Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam and he F5s the shit out of both of them and costs Cesaro the title, setting up a possible WrestleMania match with Cesaro down the road. Another thing that I see maybe happening is if what was I going to say? Rollins winning the briefcase and, him cashing in on, whoever wins the title match and then eventually having him be the big heel for Daniel Bryan. Because I think what's going to happen is they're going to end up giving Daniel Bryan a, shot at the title when he comes back or whatever may be the case. I think he'll be in the title picture and I think that's good for WWE. So, it's really going to be interesting, and next week we will have our full predictions. It will be a video episode like we did before Payback. It'll be a video episode. You'll get to see me in the flesh. You'll see my predictions for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in their entirety, and we will let you in on the giveaways that we will be doing for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view taking place in Boston, just hours away from my home, and I'm really pissed I won't be there. So either way, it's been another episode of Rope Break Radio. This is episode 9. Come back next week. Tuesday and Wednesday is when we do these. It's one of those 2 days, depending on when I actually have the time off work to do it. So I like doing these for you guys. Again, if you really enjoy the podcast and you like hearing the answers to your questions, please share it. Share. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Like the video, comment on our website. Comment on the website. There's more to us than our Facebook page. If you're interested in an article, comment on it on our website, and we're more apt to answer you on the website. So either way, next week we will have I believe it's going to be Wednesday again, we will have a video podcast with our Money in the Bank predictions. We will recap the go-home episode of Raw and the go-home episode of Main Event and all of that jazz, not to be confused with the female wrestler jazz. Again, it's been a great episode of Rope Break Radio. Thanks again for tuning in. Once again, I'm your host, AuSSy. That's AuSSy for Rope Break Wrestling. This has been Rope Break Radio, episode 9. See ya.
Rope Break Radio is brought to you by RopeBreakWrestling.com. Like us on Facebook, Rope Break Wrestling, and follow us on Twitter at Rope Break Wrestling. What are you waiting for, jabroni? Go do it now.